Most agents treat inbound and outbound calls the same.
And that's a mistake.
They use the same tone, the same script, the same pacing.
And then they wonder why their conversations are inconsistent.
Now, inbound and outbound are
Two completely different situations.
and if you don't understand the difference, you're operating blind. My name's Dave Panozzo. I'm a real estate team leader here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and today we're gonna break down and we're gonna train. Let's start with intention. Every call has to have one. If you don't know why you're on the phone, the conversation drifts. Inbound and outbound calls require completely different intention. When someone calls you inbound, they're already done with their homework. They've likely been online. They've scrolled Zillow. They've probably already talked to at least one or two agents at the minimum. They've talked through the boring stuff with a lender or a spouse. Now here's the thing. They've mentally stepped into the process. Inbound callers are usually calling about a specific property. They're not calling about the market typically. They're calling because something caught their attention and now they're ready to see it. Your intention on an inbound call is simple. Convert curiosity into commitment. That's it. You're not starting from scratch. You're stepping into momentum that already exists. So the three things you cannot forget on an inbound call. First, decide which buyer profile they are and define their motivation quickly. Why this house? Why now? You don't interrogate, but you clarify because urgency determines strategy. Second, transition to action fast. Don't overtalk. Don't overeducate. They are not calling for a seminar. They are calling because they want to see something. So here's the thing. I listen to calls every day from our team members, okay? Here's what I found, especially, and take in mind, this is on inbound calls, okay? When someone does a live transfer and they're connecting you with a client to go look at a house. Here's the thing. Those kind of calls should last somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes. Like you get the person's information, figure out a time and place, see if there's other properties in the area that maybe they would want to see so they can kill two birds, with one stone. Now here's the other thing. Calls that are over 15 minutes long, it's almost too much. And what happens is that the agent feels like they need to keep saying more stuff. And the intent of that call then starts to diminish and then no one calls them back or whatever the case may be and they get ghosted. So please be careful on that. Watch your time frame. Your job is to move the conversation from interest to appointment. Third, set expectations. Before you hang up, they should know exactly what is going to happen next, where to meet, what to bring, what you'll cover. Inbound calls die when there's no clear steps. Inbound is about capitalizing on the moment. Now let's talk about outbound. This is completely different. When you call outbound, whether it's a sphere call, a follow-up, a cold lead, an expired, whatever it is, they did not wake up expecting to talk to you. There is no momentum. There is no built-in urgency. Quite honestly, you're interrupting their day, which means your intention shifts. Your intention on outbound calls is discovery, not appointment. You're not trying to shove them into a showing in the first 90 seconds. You're trying to understand their world and what they have going on. This is where I always say, paint me a picture of your perfect home. When you don't know what their situation looks like, you have to slow down and diagnose it. Paint me a picture. What's going on right now? Are you just browsing or is this a certain timeline? What would moving actually look like for you? Outbound is about expanding the conversation before you compress it. 3 things you cannot forget with outbound calls. First, lower the guard. Your tone matters more than the script. If you sound like you're pushing, they retreat. If you sound curious and calm, they'll lean in. Second, gather context. Same as inbound calls. Determine their buyer profile and the potential motivation, timeline, and pain points. If you skip this step, you'll pitch something that they don't need. Third, create a future touchpoint. CRM, use it. Outbound rarely closes on the first call. Your job is to create the next conversation. That's a win. Inbound is conversation focused. Outbound is relationship focused. Inbound is speed. Outbound is depth. Inbound already has heat. Outbound requires you to build the heat. And here's where most agents mess up. They use outbound energy on inbound calls and inbound pressure on outbound calls. They oversell to someone who already wants to see the house, or they rush aggressively on someone who is still trying to figure things out, even if they want to move. You have to read the situation. Inbound callers are usually farther down the decision path. They've handled the boring stuff. They're not looking for a lecture, they're looking for leadership. Outbound prospects are earlier in their journey. They need clarity, not closing. If you master the difference between inbound and outbound, your confidence will increase. Your conversations get a lot smoother. Your conversation goes up and your pipeline becomes predictable. Because now you're not guessing, you're intentional. And in this business, intention wins every single time. If this breakdown helped, follow along. We're gonna keep dissecting real calls and real strategy. And if you're in Arizona and wanna sit in the room where we break these recordings down live, come train with us. I'd love to have you. This stuff is what separates average agents from beast mode. Master the situation, master the conversation, and always, let's make it a great day.